This is a story I've been afraid to tell. Not because I don't think people will believe me, though many won't, but because putting it into words makes it real in a way I'm not ready for. But after 10 months of nightmares, of jumping at shadows, of seeing things in the corner of my vision that disappear when I turn my head, I need to get this out. Daniel and I met in college, bonded by a shared love of abandoned places. We weren't thrill seekers, we were documentarians. In our own way, we'd sneak into forgotten buildings, photograph peeling wallpaper, and speculate about the lives that had passed through them. After graduation, life pulled us apart. He moved back to his rural hometown, and I ended up in the city. Last October, I finally took a weekend to visit him. His town was the kind of place that seemed frozen into a single main street, a diner that still served milkshakes in glass jars, and a quiet unease when outsiders asked too many questions. On my third night there, we sat in a dimly lit booth at the Starlight Tavern, nursing beers. The bartender, an old man with a tobacco-stained beard, kept glancing at us, like he knew we didn't belong. That's when Daniel leaned in, voice low. "You ever hear of the Hollow?" The Hollow, Daniel explained, was a failed housing development from the late 80s. A wealthy investor had planned a self-sufficient community deep in the woods, solar panels, well water, the whole off-grid dream. But construction stopped abruptly. The workers left. The houses stood empty. "People say the developer went bankrupt," Daniel said, swirling his beer. "But the locals, they don't talk about it." "Not really." I pressed him. "What weren't they saying?" He hesitated, then shrugged. "Some say the workers disappeared. Others say the houses were never meant for living in, just something else." I should have let it go. But the beer, the nostalgia, the thrill of adventure, it all pushed me to ask the question I already knew the answer to. "Can we go there?" Daniel grinned. "I was hoping you'd say that." We left just before sunset, parking Daniel's truck behind an abandoned gas station on the edge of town. The trailhead wasn't marked, just a gap in the trees, barely visible unless you knew where to look. The path started wide enough for us to walk side by side, but within minutes, the forest closed in. Thorny branches snagged at our clothes. The air grew thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something faintly sweet, like rotting fruit. Daniel led the way, flashlight cutting through the gathering dark. "How much farther?" I asked, my voice sounding too loud in the stillness. "Not far," he said, "but we should hurry. I don't want to be out here after full dark." I didn't ask why. After nearly an hour of hiking, the trees suddenly thinned, and we saw them. 5 houses. They stood in a loose semicircle, each one identical boxy, 2-story structures with sagging porches and vinyl siding that had curled away from the frames. Gravel driveways, now choked with weeds, led to each one. The strangest part? There was no graffiti, not a single spray-painted tag. No broken bottles, no signs of the usual teenage trespassing. It was like the place had been frozen in time. "Weird," Daniel muttered. "Kids around here tag everything." A breeze rustled the trees, and for a second, I thought I heard something Elsa whisper, just on the edge of hearing. Daniel didn't react. Maybe I imagined it. We approached the centermost house. The front door hung open, swaying slightly in the wind. Daniel nudged it wider with his boot. "After you." The inside was eerily intact. The floors were warped but Kleno trash, no shattered glass, just dust and a few scattered nails. The walls were bare except for a single yellowed calendar from 1989. "Creepy," I said, running a finger over the dusty countertop. "It's like they just walked away." Daniel didn't answer. He was staring at the ceiling. "You hear that?" I listened. At first, nothing. Then, a faint creak, like someone shifting their weight on the floor above us. The staircase groaned under our steps. The upstairs hallway was darker than it should have been. The windows grimy, letting in almost no light. 3 doors, 2 bedrooms, and a closet. The first bedroom was empty. The second had a single chair placed perfectly in the center of the room, facing the door. "Nope," I said, backing out. That's when we heard it. A door slamming. Not inside the house. Somewhere outside, maybe 50 yards away, the sound echoed through the hollow, sharp as a gunshot. We froze. The woods had gone dead. Silent, no crickets, no wind. Just our own ragged breathing. "Probably an animal," Daniel whispered, but his knuckles were white around his flashlight. We crept downstairs, debating whether to leave. Then, footsteps. Slow, deliberate crunches on gravel. Someone was walking toward the house. Daniel killed his flashlight. We crouched beside a window, peering through a crack in the blinds. Nothing. The footsteps stopped at the porch. "Hello?" A man's voice, thin and wavering. "Y'all don't gotta hide. I ain't here to cause trouble." Something about his tone made my skin crawl. It was too pleading. Like a child pretending to be harmless. Silence stretched. Then, "'S'all right, I'll wait." A creak as he sat on the porch steps. Daniel mouthed, "What the hell?" I shook my head. We hadn't made noise. How did he know we were here? Minutes passed. The man started humming a tuneless, off-key drone. My legs burned from squatting. Finally, Daniel gestured toward the back door. "We run on 3. We bolted. The second we burst outside, the humming stopped. We didn't look back. Branches whipped at our faces as we crashed through the woods. Only when we reached the car did Daniel gasp, "Did you see him?" I hadn't. When we ran past the porch, he swallowed. There was nobody there. Back at Daniel's place, we scoured local records. The hollow wasn't just abandoned, it was erased. No permits, no news articles, just a rumor about a failed wellness retreat gone wrong. The next morning, we went back in daylight. The houses were there, but different. The chair upstairs was gone. The calendar now read 2023. And carved into the front door of the first house, fresh and deep, "You should have stayed to talk." Daniel and I don't talk about that night. But sometimes, when the phone rings late and it's him, I let it go to voicemail. Because I'm afraid of what I'll hear on the other end. And I'm afraid it won't be Daniel.
I hope the stories doesn't ruin your sleep entirely. If you're still craving more spooky shit, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like the video to increase views. If you have any stories of your own, feel free to message them to me, and I'll add them in a video and shout you out. Spooky Daddy out.